Okay, I will start by again reading the Fourth Mindfulness Training so we can hold it in our minds and our hearts. It's deep listening and loving speech. Aware of the suffering caused by unmindfulness speech and the inability to listen to others, I am committed to cultivating loving speech and deep listening in order to bring joy and happiness to others and relieve others of their suffering. Knowing that words can create happiness or suffering, I am determined to speak truthfully with words that inspire confidence, joy, and hope. I will not spread news that I do not know to be certain and will not criticize or condemn things of which I am not sure. I will refrain from uttering words that can cause division or discord, or that can cause the family or the community to break. I am determined to make all efforts to reconcile and resolve all conflicts, however small. And the Fourth Mindfulness Training focuses on right speech and deep listening because we can only understand another person when we are able to truly listen to them. Loving speech is an essential tool when we want to build a community that is a healing, loving refuge for people. And it's helpful if before speaking, we practice being able to listen well. Sometimes when we attempt to listen to another person, we can't hear them because we haven't listened to ourselves. Our own strong emotions and thoughts are so loud in us, crying out for our attention, that we can't hear the other person. And we get caught in thinking that what they're saying can only confirm or contradict our own thoughts and emotions. And so we can use our meditation to listen deeply to ourselves, leaning in to hear what emotions are coming up and being with them without judgment or interrupting them. And we can listen to our thoughts and let them pass without holding on to them. In meditation, we can become consciously aware of the effect our own thoughts are having on our lives, and how our thoughts, what our inner voice is saying to us, makes us feel about ourselves, and how we interact with other people. And this practice of listening deeply to ourselves brought to mind for me the words in the opening verse: the laws of the way things are work internally. The way in which we habitually use the word within our own minds structures the lens through which our lives manifest. And I, just while I've been studying this, I was out taking walks around the Bay Area, and I found a little library that had one of Byron Katie's books in it. And so I started reading her work, and she's very much about listening to the thoughts and understanding how we create our own suffering through the way we think. And so I pulled a quote from her book. She says, "Suffering is optional. Whenever we experience a stressful feeling, anything from mild discomfort to intense sorrow, rage, or despair, we can be certain that there is a specific thought causing our reaction, whether we're conscious of it or not." And so examining our thoughts and practicing mindful speech within our own minds is key to our process of liberation. And I have to say, I remember when I was doing some really deep spiritual work and we were doing a lot of shadow work, it was the first time that I really listened to what my mind said about me, and I was shocked. It was like really cruel. And we've talked about this a little bit before, but it's really amazing what we will run inside of our heads. And what we hold in thought eventually becomes expressed. And this just always made me think, in each beginning is the word. And after we spend time listening to ourselves and become skillful in recognizing the thought patterns which cause our own suffering, then we are just in such a better place to listen to others around us. And when we have insight into those patterns that cause suffering, we can have so much more compassion for each other. And Thich Nhat Hanh says that it's important to realize that the single purpose of compassionate listening is to help the other person to suffer less by giving them a chance to express what is in their heart. And I found this very poignant, very powerful to think about, that the purpose of compassionate listening is to help another person suffer less. And he talks about how often when somebody is able to really listen to somebody so that they can express what's in themselves and hear it and sort it out, often that is the first time they've had that type of listening in their lives. And so it's an incredible gift. And he talks about using mindful breathing when we're listening. So if we can practice mindful breathing, we can stay present, even if the other person says something harsh or provocative or incorrect, according to us, that we are just so much more able to listen from a centered place. And he says that after listening to another, and only at a time when that person is ready to listen, is it wise to practice loving speech. And so that's another key to this practice, is being so sensitive to the other person that we can sense when they've spoken enough of their heart and their frustration or whatever it is, that they're ready to listen. And then Thich Nhat Hanh gets into speaking about reconciliation as being the active practice that comes about through deep listening and mindful speech. To reconcile, he says, means to bring peace and happiness to members of one's own family, to groups of people, and to nations. In order to help reconcile a disagreement, we must refrain from aligning with either party in order to understand both. It's necessary for us to see the good and the bad aspects of both sides. And he talks about how this is a challenging practice, and what I realize is that it fully actualizes the Dharma. This is the action that draws forth everything that we've been studying, and we must apply it. And during the Vietnam War, Thich Nhat Hanh and the Buddhist community practice not aligning with either side, the communists or the anti-communists. And their neutral stance proved rather dangerous because they were then suspect to both sides. And all the people who were polarized and committed to the war had no desire to reconcile and were projecting that it was the other side that would never reconcile. And yet the monks and the nuns proceeded to train social workers to go out into the rural areas to help with health, economic, and educational problems. And their work of reconciliation was not only the work of facilitating communication between people and understanding, they also practiced reconciliation through their social involvement. They risked their own lives to help the refugees settle in new villages, and they sponsored more than 10,000 orphans, and they helped the peasants bury their dead and rebuild their bombed villages. And they practiced listening to both sides. So they would make a point to go to one side and listen to how the people were suffering there, and then go to the other side and listen to how people were suffering there. And then as they were working with the rural communities, they were able to tell about the other side and how they were suffering so that there could be understanding. And they encourage communities to care about each other and not get caught in killing because of the ideological differences. And their message was adverse to the leaders of war, like I said, as war demands that we take a side. And Thich Nhat Hanh's writings and teachings were censored by both sides. And because the monks and nuns were living on little and donating their time and skills in the way of performing merit, they were loved. They were really loved by the people and became very popular in the countryside of Vietnam. And their popularity was viewed as a threat to the leaders, and many involved in the Buddhist community were assassinated or detained. And yet the suffering that they were witnessing kept calling them out. And they were courageously committed to using their bodies, their time, and their lives to live the Dharma. And the Fourth Mindfulness Training can bring peace, understanding, and happiness to people in all situations. The universal door is a wonderful door. And it allows us to be reborn in a lotus flower and help others to be born there as well. And I just want to end with saying that the skillful listening and right use of speech are integral to the accomplishment of all 5 of the mindfulness trainings.